because I knew that I could sing, but I didn't know if I had a voice that anybody would want to listen to. So.
Okay. How are you, Corey? Thank you for your time. Nice to meet you, man.
It's all good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
Good.
So, Corey, are you ready now?
Yeah.
How long have you been thinking of doing your solo project?
Oh God, who knows, man? I only really started taking it seriously about 3 years ago, something like that. It was something that I had actually talked about doing about 10 years ago when I was doing my side thing, JBKB. But that was actually more of like a cover thing, like we played a couple of my songs, like solo tunes that I had written, but we didn't get any really further past that other than just playing covers and stuff. So it wasn't anything that was really solid or really like serious. But then, over the years, more and more people have asked me if I was going to do a solo thing. And I was always like pretty quick to go, no, not really. I mean, I've got 2 bands, what more could I do musically, The more I really thought about it though, it's like, well, if I did do it, I've got all these songs that I've written over the years that didn't work with either band. So, what if I really did do it? And the more I thought about it, the more I started going through the old songs and listening to them and really like looking at how they all kind of work together. I was just like, I could do this, And then one thing led to another, and I was working on it. So I didn't start taking it seriously until a couple of years ago, but I've had the material for it for many years.
Wow. So for your answer, I want to know, how did you imagine your project? I mean, even though rock is the main genre of your new album, there are songs that sound like a little bit of country music, pop ballads, and hip hop also.
Yeah.
Did you have an idea of what you wanted your album to sound like? I'm asking this because it's funny and it's interesting to hear your voice in songs that are not heavy metal.
Right, exactly. I mean, I just wanted it to have that kind of fun spirit, whether it was rock or punk or metal or hip hop or country or jazz or, I mean, any of the types of music that I'm into and that I've listened to over the years. I just knew that I wanted it to have a celebratory feeling. When you listen to this, to me, it's because I've been referring to it as a party album for a while, but it's more than that. It's more like a celebration of music. It's celebrating the fact that all of these different vibes and styles can live together in the right song, in the right passage, with the right people playing it, and it can still all feel very connected and very cohesive, So I guess I just wanted people to listen to it with the same regard that I wrote it, which was just to hear it back and get excited to hear it back and get excited to sing along to it, because you know me, I'm a big dork when it comes to music, and I just love doing it, man,
And you said that your achievements were with Slipknot and with Stone Sour. And what lessons from your experiences with Slipknot and Stone Sour you brought for this new phase in your career?
It's a good question. The thing that I learned really, the biggest lesson was that if I was going to do this, I wanted to do it with people who had the same spirit as I did. The same kind of positive attitude, the same kind of excitement that comes to making new music and writing new music and listening to it back and getting so stoked that you're just like, that was awesome. Like you just get that, I wanted to do it with people like that. And I realized that, I have 4 of my best friends that I've had for the last, some of them I've known for almost 20 years now. And I knew that they were so good. This was going to be the band to do it with, because we had all talked about doing something together in the past, and we had done little things here and there, like the Corey Taylor and Friends shows, like the the cover shows and whatnot, but we'd never done anything like this before, and it felt so good, dude. You know, I didn't realize how exhausting it can be sometimes making music with people who are just don't have the same attitude towards making music. When you realize that, it puts this whole other perspective on how you make music, and it really changes the way you approach it and what you want to do with it. So for me, it was a no-brainer. It was, let's just get the most fun people I know together and make a kick-ass rock album.
Your voice is one of the most recognizable voices in heavy metal, you know, but I want to know, how has your way of singing evolved through all these years?
I don't know. I mean, you know, for me, I've never tried to learn different styles. I've just done it, you know, like I've always just kind of, you know, I guess I have that kind of voice where if I'm singing along to something, it feels good, I go, oh, I could try that. You know, the only thing I've really ever had to learn to do in life was scream. You know, I had to develop that over the years because I had never done anything like that before, you know. So, but once I had that, I had it and I locked that in, you know. So it was really important for me to kind of add that to my arsenal, I guess, or lack of a better term, and know that I could incorporate that if I wanted to, you know. And in doing so, it really helped me tap into so much emotion. But that, for me, that's what it comes down to with my voice, is emotion. And, you know, singing the stuff, whether it's happy stuff or dark stuff or angry stuff or just, you know, poppy, weird, you know, soulful ballad stuff, I knew that if I wanted to sing it, I can do it, you know? So I think in a way, maybe it's just my attitude that has evolved and not really my voice. I've definitely gotten better over the years just from practice and you know, taking chances and whatnot. But maybe my attitude has really changed, where I'm not as concerned about what people think about the songs that I sing. You know, for me, it's like, you're either with me or you're not. We're going to have a good time or we're not, you know, and I'm not going to let, you know, negative attitudes hold me back from making music and singing.
Okay. So I have a tricky one. Let's go back in time to your first steps as a singer. Do you remember the first time you heard your voice in a recording studio? Have you always known that you were able to sing and yell like that?
But the first time I heard my voice back was a song called Little Girl that I did with a group of friends. It was the band Criminal Mischief that I have talked about in the past. We went into Sean Economaki's dad's studio. He had this little MIDI studio in the middle of downtown Des Moines, and we did it with a drum machine, and we did it with like almost direct guitars. I don't think we used amps or anything, but it was a very strange experience. I remember going in and going, man, I don't know what to, you know, I don't really know what to do, you know. And all I did was I sang it like 3 times, and that was it. And twice. And I can remember listening back to it going, God, is that the way I sound? Like,
wow.
Because it's a different vibe, you know. But at the same time, I was also 16, 17 at the time, you know. It was the first time I'd ever really recorded anything. But that gave me the confidence to go in later and record a bunch of acoustic stuff that I've done over the years. Yeah.
Wow. And what do you think that the first time that you hear your voice, even for that thinking of, wow, is that my voice?
I can remember being kind of taken aback because it sounds, you know, it obviously sounds so different than it does in your head. But then actually being pretty impressed that it didn't sound as bad as I was worried that it wouldn't sound so good, you know, because I knew that I could sing, but I didn't know if I had a voice that anybody would want to listen to, you know? So hearing it back and then seeing the reaction of people when I had a little cassette tape. They had that song on it, and I ran around to all my friends. I was like, "You gotta hear this song!" And just playing it for them, and they freaked out, man. They were like, "That's you?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, it was crazy."
Okay.
Right?
So you have been on rock scene and music industry for over 20 years, and you lived through many changes in the music industry. So I want to know, do you still thinking the same about rock music as you did 20 years ago?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my attitude towards rock, towards metal and rock and punk and everything hasn't changed at all. But that's because my reasons for doing it haven't changed. I know a lot of artists who, over the years, their reasons for making music and working and whatnot definitely change for whatever reason, and it's not for me to judge. It's their life, their career, whatever. But for me, I've always said the second that I've stopped making music for me and start making it for other reasons is the day that I need to hang it up. I need to quit, So my attitude towards music, and that's probably why my music sounds the way it does, hasn't changed. If it's not coming from somewhere genuine, I don't care. That's one of the reasons why I'm such a harsh critic of newer bands and newer fad, the up and coming things, because I'm tortured with knowledge of history. Because I'm such a huge fan of music, I know the history of every genre, of every type of music, of every style, of every song, of everything, So I really can, so when I hear people regurgitating certain things, I get mad. Let's put it that way. I get angry because I feel like they're not trying hard enough. But at the same time, maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe that's all they want. Maybe that's all they want to do is kind of reimagine songs that have already happened. That's why so many bands these days have success by releasing dark covers. Because they can't write original music. Their original music sounds like crap. So, it's a slippery slope. The thing that I've learned years is that whether I like it or not, the only thing that I can do is really just kind of stay in my lane and do what I do. I can't get bummed out because more bands don't think the same way that I do. All I can control is what I do. That's why I really try to make sure that my music as a quality is the absolute best that I can do.
Okay. So Cody, I know you're a family man. You seem to have a huge fatherly side. How has fatherhood influenced your way of making music? Even more so now with your new solo project.
It's a good question. I don't really know, I do get really excited when my kids like my music. Let's put it that way. I can remember playing some of these songs for my 5-year-old daughter, and for days she was walking around singing Black Eyes Blue. She didn't necessarily know the words, but she was going, "Make my black eye blue," and I was it just touched me, man. Like that to me is the best thing possible, is when your kids like what you do. Everybody else is just secondary, so maybe it's just me trying to impress my kids. I don't know. But it's definitely a great feeling to hear them like digging the things you do, especially knowing the stuff that they listen to,
Yeah, singing your songs, it should be great. As I told you before, your voice is also recognized for having the right punch for heavy metal, but
right.
It's also true for making us all cry during a ballad. Such is the case with Home. I already listened to your new album, and I think it's great. But what about Home? A very strong ballad included in your new album. What's the story behind that song?
That song was actually the first song that I wrote for my wife.
Wow.
Yeah, before we got married. Yeah, it was actually our wedding song. I played it for her at our wedding, and I originally wrote it on guitar, but I realized that it was really meant to be a piano song. You know, it was really had the spirit and the soul, a little more intimate that goes with that type of music. You know, so I spent 2.5 years teaching myself piano just so I could play it and record it and do it confidently and not just, you know, hunt and
You record
peck.
piano in home?
Yeah, I did the piano. I played it. Yeah. It was great because it was something that I've wanted to do anyways, learn how to play piano, because I've kind of dicked with it for a little bit, but I never sat down and really applied myself. So when I wrote that song, I was like, okay, this is the reason. This is why I'm going to learn how to play. So I bought a piano and I played every day, man. And I sat and I taught myself. So it was a pretty special moment when I played that for her and she just started bawling, man. She just was losing it. It's also one of the reasons why I wanted it to be very intimate and I didn't load it up with too much, you know. It's a single track of vocal, single track of piano. The strings come in to add that, you know, that a little heartfelt, you know, connotation to it, but it doesn't overdo it, you know. Like I wanted it to have the sweetness that comes when you're telling that person how much you love them, you know.
I'm really impressed. So I think it's my favorite track of your new album. It's beautiful, that song. And I read your album. This album includes songs you wrote when you were a teenager, as you told me before. Can you tell us a bit more about it?
Yeah, Highway 666. Actually, the first two verses are verses that I wrote when I was in 10th grade, and I found them in a notebook at my grandma's house a couple years ago, and I was kind of, you know, dicking around and looking through some stuff, and I found them, and I went, "Oh, I remember these. Yeah, man," you know, and I kind of freaked out. And I took that notebook and I tucked it away, and I said, "You know what? Someday I need to finish this song," you know, because I definitely, as soon as I read it, I definitely had an idea of what that song was when I was originally writing it, and lo and behold, years later, you know, I sat down and I finished it. You know, I wrote a third verse, I wrote the chorus, and, you know, just put all the music together and was really able to create something truly special. It's also the reason it's the first song on the album, because the seeds of that song really go back, all the way back to, you know, when I was a kid. So it's, yeah.
In a very personal way. Oh, great. So, and you've done pretty much everything by now. Written a book, written a few books, sold millions of albums worldwide, sold out stadiums, appeared on movie and television. Now you have your solo album. Is there anything else on your list? What about the script you were writing for your own horror movie? I don't know. What's next for Corey Taylor?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to work on the movie. I don't know yet, man. You know, like I want to see how this album does, and just see how people react to it. You know, I've got enough material for 3 more solo albums.
Wow.
Even if I didn't write anything else, like I have enough material that I've been sitting on for years. So I don't know. I mean, everything's kind of up in the air right now with everything that's in the world. So I'm just kind of sitting back going, you know, it's hard to make plans when you don't know what the future entails, you know? But you know, if you know, once things go back to normal, I will finish up with Slipknot, finish up the tour cycle with Slipknot. Hopefully do some one-offs with this solo thing, and after I'm done with Slipknot, go in, record CMF2, and then go out and tour the world on this solo project with 2 albums and not just 1.
Okay.
So that's kind of what I want to do. That's my plan as of right now.
For the last question, Corey, any message for Mexican fans? Thank you for your time. Really, thank you for your time. You know, you have a lot of fans in Mexico, so thank you for your time. And any message for Mexican people?
We're, you know, I can't speak for everybody in Slipknot, but I know that we're desperately trying to find a way to get back down there and make up the Knotfest show. We're very happy that everybody was safe after that night. We apologize, but we did what was best in our minds for the fans. And I promise we don't hold any of that other stuff against them. We understand that that wasn't them, that was other people coming in and trying to ruin a good time. So as soon as we can, whether it's Slipknot or solo or whatever, I will be down there to make music for my friends. And that's a promise.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate it.
Take it easy.